Hi, I'm Katie Ziskind. I'm the owner of Wisdom Within Counseling and Coaching. I specialize in gender, sexuality, and intimacy, and one of my specialties is working with men that have a feminine side and identify as a crossdresser. Now, I wanted to dive into this topic today because I think it is so taboo in our culture, and many men that come work with me experience a lot of self-hatred, self-criticism, shame, and guilt that are really not theirs. It's just from society, gender norms, traditional religious conservative views, and we have to kind of unpack that. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to accept yourself as a man that cross-dresses and kind of looking at the trauma and shame origins, or where these negative messages around cross-dressing come from. So I'm Katie Ziskind. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am a certified sex therapy informed professional. I'm trained in the Gottman method, and I specialize in complex trauma survivors. So people who've experienced sexual abuse and emotional abuse. So now if you're a crossdresser, you love wearing women's clothing, wigs, makeup, lipstick, blush, mascara. You might love nylon stockings. You might love lace, ruffles, the color pink, and all things girly and feminine. And when you put on your nylon stockings and see your feet in high heels, you just feel so good about yourself. Crossdressing can be relaxing. It can be soothing. It can be a way to reduce stress and manage anxiety and come home to yourself. Your feminine part, or your feminine side, is an amazing part of yourself, and you feel softer, you feel connected to your nurturing energy, maybe even connected to your creative self, and even connected to your sexuality and erotic side. Cross-dressing can be a wonderful, healthy way to express your true, authentic self. But it is very common for men who cross-dress to experience patterns of shame, guilt, and self-rejection. And this is because our society really limits men in terms of their emotional expression and emotional nurturing, and also sexual expression. Also, as we talk about sexual trauma in this video, I want to make it very clear that this video is not suggesting that crossdressers have endured sexual trauma. But when we talk about sex, kinks, intimacy, libido, desire, foreplay, ejaculation, orgasming, under the umbrella of sex-positive education and sex-positive communication and conversation, oftentimes sexual trauma is something that comes out. And so I make counseling and coaching a safe place to talk about surviving sexual abuse, unwanted touch, sexual trauma, non-contact sexual trauma, rape, molestation, and help you overcome cycles of shame, guilt, and self-blame associated with that lived experience. And now I wanted to first start off by saying you're not alone. If you're a man that loves cross-dressing and has a feminine self, but you have no one in your life that's modeled this or shown this is okay for you, you're not alone. In addition to individual support, I do run a group for men that cross-dress, and it can be a wonderful, safe place, no matter where you are in your journey or your relationship with cross-dressing, to realize you're not alone, to have a small group of supportive, community members where it's all confidential. And so when you're in this kind of cycle of feeling concerned or afraid that people will no longer be your friend, or your children will disown you, or your wife will divorce you if you cross-dress, it can be very isolating. It can make you feel lonely. It can make you feel like you're the problem. You might start to blame yourself. And there's fear of discovery. You may secretly be dressing. So when no one's home, you might use that time to get dressed up. Or you might be staying late after work to get dressed up. Or you might be going on a work trip and taking a night on that work trip when your company's paying for your hotel room to cross-dress. And right now, you might be wondering who will accept you, and you might be feeling like nobody will understand you because you have faced a lot of rejection in your life. And I work a lot with men who are married to a woman, and their wife doesn't accept them, and kind of doesn't want to hear about it, doesn't want to see about it. And so that's where counseling and coaching can be a safe place to be yourself. And I also work with married men that have a partner who's super supportive and wants to go shopping for them and wants to do their makeovers and book them a makeover at Ulta, right? So your partner may be rejecting you, or your partner might be really accepting of you. I work with men who are dads, who are grandpas, who are business owners, who are entrepreneurs, who are highly intelligent, who are executives, who are, military, have retired, who are physicians, doctors, engineers, attorneys, lawyers, really smart people. And I want you to know that anyone of any gender, any age, any nationality, any location in the entire world can identify as a crossdresser. It does not mean there is anything wrong with you because you have a feminine side. We have to look at where these negative beliefs came from. Now, I want us to take a minute to zoom in on gender stereotypes that boys in particular are groomed for growing up. So boys are not nurtured in the same way girls are nurtured. If a girl who's 5 years old falls down and skins her knee, typically someone will run over and say, hey, are you okay? Do you need an ice pack? Come over here, honey. She receives emotional nurturing. On the other hand, a boy that skins their knee while they're riding a bicycle is told, suck it up, like, don't cry, like, you know, just bite your tongue, like, bounce back, like, you got this. Like, they're given a lot more tough love, boys are. And so boys often grow up not being emotionally nurtured and not feeling emotionally safe. And so, you know, maybe you think back on your life and you had a father that was really militant, type A, like, you know, highly critical, told you to man up, told you to stop crying, told you not to be weak, not to be girly. So you received a lot of negative messages around femininity. You may have had a really controlling father that you saw talk to your mom in a way that she had to suppress her femininity, or femininity was not welcomed or accepted, or it was like something very shameful, or there was this kind of even patriarchal or misogynistic view that like women are the weaker gender, or women, you know, shouldn't be in power. There are all of these beliefs that we develop from society, from school, from our families, from culture. Also, I think it's really important to say right now that femininity is beautiful, amazing, and a wonderful part of who you are. And I want you to know that you can accept yourself and you can overcome shame and guilt around it and be your authentic self. You may not be able to be completely boldly out with your wife, but counseling and coaching can be a place where you can receive that acceptance. Or you may not be able to be totally out at work. You may want to maintain your masculinity there, but perhaps we can find time in your week or in your life where you can express this side of yourself. I also want to talk about sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is when anything is done to your body, or even non-contact sexual abuse is a very real thing. Maybe an example of that would be you sending a naked image of your body to someone in a confidential way, and they share that image with people without your consent. Or maybe you are in a dressing room and you're changing your clothes and you are under the impression you have privacy, and someone walks into your dressing room and stares at your naked body. Even though they're not touching your naked body, they are taking away your consent. So those are just some examples of non-contact sexual abuse. But I work with a lot of people that have survived sexual abuse, rape, molestation, and incest. And there is a lot of support, healing, and nurturing that we do, completely separate from cross-dressing support around this. But when we talk about sexuality and gender expression, usually if someone has experienced sexual abuse, it comes up. And so this is a safe place to talk about those experiences. We look at grooming behaviors. We look at your relationship to your abuser. For some people, it's a family member. For other people, it's a coach or a professor. For other people, it's someone they were in a romantic relationship with at the time. Sexual abuse is something that changes your association with your sexuality. So as a result of sexual abuse, we can see sexual avoidance, we can see a disinterest in sex, low libido, hypervigilance, increased heart rate, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, insomnia, trouble sleeping. We can also see like kind of a compulsion around sex, or we can also see shame and guilt around sex. We can see cycles of self-blame. We can even develop sexual dysfunctions like the inability to orgasm, or kind of tearfulness. We can have a panic attack in the middle of a sexual experience. And we also look at your relationship to your abuser, because for a lot of children who are sexually abused, they really enjoy their relationship with their abuser at times. There may be like cuddling, or there may be hugs, or there may be verbal admiration, or it's not always 100% all the time abusive relationship. And so a lot of children who might be missing something, getting that.